I'm Darren Gamache, co-owner of Virgil Gamache Farms. So Virgil Gamache Farms was started early on in 1913 by my great-great-grandfather. I think I have enough greats in there, Albert. It was known as Sunshine Ranch, and you'll see that on the barns if you ever walk by. But now it's named as Virgil Gamache Farms, which was my grandfather, and it's an homage to him. During Prohibition, around 1932, we had our first hop contract down here in the valley, and that's when we got into hops. In the last 20 years, you've seen farms consolidate, you've seen them get larger, and they're significantly more sophisticated because the types of things that we deal with today versus what we used to deal with back in 1930 is completely different. The water in the lower Yakima Valley where we are is fed by the rivers and the watersheds. And we receive all of our water from the WIP, which is the Wapato Irrigation Project. The largest challenge is learning how to work with your neighbors, and if we're wasteful with water on the upper end of the system where we are, then our neighboring farms that are downstream receive half or no water of their own that they are entitled to. It's really about sharing that natural resource to make it last and stretch as far as we can. Because it's not just about the farms here, it's also about the rivers and those ecosystems. If we pull too heavily on those, on the sheer volume of water just to do this, the irrigation here, then those systems suffer, and that's not a good thing. So as demand grew for hops, and also to maintain our global competitiveness, because we do compete globally, we changed our techniques in terms of irrigation profile and natural resource use. A good example of that is specifically our water use. We went from rill irrigation, which required land that had to be graded and planed, to drip, which we now can put trellises on hills that are rolling. We could farm ground that was a little more marginal in terms of changing soil patterns every 20, 30, 40 feet. And we could put more water on where it needed to be more often, and with less labor involved. It truly revolutionized what we were doing from an irrigation standpoint. Drip systems, by and large, have allowed us to create systems that have evened out the fields. So our soil profiles do change because we're on a river bottom. So every 30 to 40 feet, we go from heavy loam to rock to sand, and so we're able to even those things out by putting the right amount of water on when that section of the field needs it. The key components that we've implemented for our systems here are filtration systems to lower the plugging of the emitters, smaller sets that we can move more rapidly. We've implemented testing, water testing, so we know the quality of the water that we're putting on in terms of colony counts, things like that. And then on certain select blocks, we have overhead irrigation that we use predominantly to water the inner rows. In those cases, we're trying to build up organic matter in the field. It's part of a 10-year process to improve the soil health. In terms of soil runoff, when we're using drip irrigation, we virtually have none. It's 100% consumed on that site by those plants. You can do everything right. You can farm right, you can put on all of your fertilizers properly, you can manage your pests, you can do all of those things, but your plant will be stunted if you're not managing the water. And that is the absolute truth. And if you don't have a good structure, then you're not going to get a good crop and you're not going to be here.